Hi, thanks for joining me again. This video will be discussing study permit applications. Now, a lot of questions as to when should I apply for the study permit, should I apply for the visitor visa, etc. Let's talk about it. You should apply for a visitor visa if your duration of stay in Canada is less than 6 months. But before you decide that, you should look at the CIC website and see which processing times are faster. Certain countries, for a visit visa, processing times are a year. And when you look at the study permit, it's about 3 to 4 months. So in that case, you should apply for the study permit. What I'm talking about is that for a study permit, you can apply at any time so long as you have an acceptance letter from a designated learning institute. So if you have an acceptance letter, even if you're coming for 2 months, you do have the right to submit a study permit application. But double check the processing time as to which one is faster and then decide if it's visit or study permit. If the duration of your study in Canada is longer than 6 months, then you must apply for a study permit application. Okay, how do we ensure that your study permit is going to be successful? Think of a study permit as a visit visa, except instead of an invitation letter from an inviter in Canada, you are getting an invitation letter from a school, the acceptance letter. What you have to demonstrate to the officer is why Canada? Why can't you do this study back home or another country? Why must you travel miles and miles to come to Canada to obtain this degree or diploma, whatever it is that you're seeking? That's called a study plan. The study plan has to focus as to why is this very important to you? And the why is connected back to your home country, or it should be. You have to explain to the officer, an example, I need this study permit because I want to finish this diploma or this degree. Once I finish this, I intend to do this back home. I have, more prospective employers that are going to hire me. I'm a businessman and I can grow my business. I will have the expertise in this area. You have to bring it back to your home country. Now, I understand you're probably watching this and you're saying, well, I have no intentions of going back to my country. That's fine. A study permit stands for temporary study permit. It's temporary, which means that officer's discretion can only be on your intent to be temporary. As soon as your study permit is approved, just like marriage, you can change your mind and say, I'm going to stay permanently. But at the time that you submit the application, your intent must be temporary. So your study permit has to address that you intend to come here temporarily, obtain this education, and use it XYZ back home. So the study permit becomes extremely important. The other things that are extremely important are obviously financials. Now, I wouldn't be too afraid of this, but a very good application, you should demonstrate that you can take care of yourself in the next 12 months. So a 12-month period, that's tuition, accommodation, some extra basic necessity funds, etc. Depending on your age, and this is very important because a lot of students come to me and say, well, who can support me? I don't have all the funds myself. And I look at the age. If you're a student of 18, 19-year-old, most likely mom and dad are going to support your studies. But if you're a 35-year-old and a 40-year-old, it's kind of hard to say mom and dad are going to financially support me. Not that you cannot add those documents as well, but it does make it a little weaker. So depending on your age and where you are in life, mom and dad can support your application. Now, can an uncle support it, or your brother, or someone else? And the answer is yes. But the further you are away from that bloodline, the harder it is to convince the officer that I have the means to support myself financially. Why? Because they can change their mind. You can get into an argument with your uncle, and your uncle's going to say, I'm no longer going to support your studies. Most likely, mom and dad are not going to do that. So make sure that whoever supports your studies, you have an affidavit from them, you have their bank account information, their employment documentation, anything to prove that they have the means to support you and they've written it, signed it, notarized it, that they will continue to support your stay in Canada. So the financials become very important. So let's go back to the 40-year-old example or the 35-year-old. You can include mom and dad, but I would also include your own financials. At this age, you should have either been employed, you may have property, you may have your own investment. however little that may seem, add those documentation. Or another example would be transfer money from mom and dad into your account. Keep that money in your account for 6 months and then demonstrate to the officer the 3 months bank statement. So there's many ways of playing around with it. Ultimately, if you don't have the funds should be transferred as yours. And you should have a letter to say, mom and dad transferred this fund now belongs to me. It's been in my bank account for several months. Ultimately, they don't want the funds back. That if you are over the age, and I would say anyone over 24, you should have your own funds or some sort of funds from family members in your own bank account, versus someone who's younger, adding mom and dad bank account not attached to yours should suffice. One other last point I want to mention is that starting November 15th until December 31st, 2023, the Government of Canada has announced that all students who are on a study permit can now work full-time. Now, this is a very important change because in the past, it was part-time, maximum 20 hours. This is crucial should you want to apply for express entry or permanent residency. It's the full-time hours, and full-time hours are 30 hours plus. So starting November 15th until end of 2023, you are eligible to work full-time. If you have any questions about study permit or working in Canada while you're on a study permit, please do give me a call. Until next time.